Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my 2 informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. Someone linked me a video yesterday of good old Michael Tren telling everybody how he built his 21-inch arms. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about it. 21-inch arms, I don't know, maybe he's born with it, maybe it's duck eggs. Those $700 duck eggs, that's the secret. But we're going to get into that in a second because there is some longevity substances involved with a lot of what he does. Now, obviously, I'm going to really hammer into the fact that he's saying that people have to do awkward, painful exercises to be a man, and if you don't do that, you're not a man. Yeah. Now, all of that being said, where will I give credit where credit is due? I watched the video. Honestly, he deleted off this arm workout with incline curls. That one I can't really argue with. Like, we can't argue with that one. Incline curls are a time-proven exercise. Many guys in the pre-drug era built actually pretty impressive biceps using incline curls. Certain strength and conditioning coaches have found that power lifters who do incline curls correctly, potential lower risk of bicep tears on deadlifts. You say, what? Why? Because they put the bicep into a stretch reflex, so it engages a myotatic reflex. Again, there's some physiology involved with this. The incline curl is actually a fantastic exercise. As far as bicep isolation movements go, it's got to be in the top 1 or 2. It's got to be in the top 1 or 2. Easily. It's a fantastic exercise, and I can't fault him for telling guys, you know what, this is a great exercise. I go as far as to say that with Mike's genetics, with his duck egg use and everything else, that exercise is probably largely responsible for his biceps. That exercise by itself. But you know, he gets into a lot of other silly nonsense here. And he's got them doing all sorts of different exercises for the biceps and triceps. Like, how complicated do you think the bicep is, Mike? Now, the incline curl has a myotatic reflex, a stretch reflex. It works the bicep through the fullest range of motion possible. All right, bicep does this. This is what a bicep does. It's not a complex muscle. In what world do you think all these other exercises are doing anything for the bicep that the incline curl is not already doing? It doesn't have different angles and heads and things. It's not complicated like a pectoral or a deltoid. It's not complicated at all. Basic physiology. I'm just throwing random crap at it. But the thing is that the incline curl is actually the most superior exercise even recommended there. But that doesn't mean you have to do that. You know what? Any bicep exercise in which you can continually increase workload over time is going to make your biceps grow. All right, doesn't matter what it is. Progressive overload is the key to growth. But we kind of get to this other point of him telling people they need to do really bizarre stuff, such as you have people putting their elbows way up to do dumbbell tricep extensions and put you at weird angles, you know, saying that's manly. Or that's the big key to how he built his triceps. In what world are dumbbell isolation movements manly? Manly is usually related to sports or performance. When we talk about training, usually manly is associated with performance, sports, breaking stuff and killing things. Those are what we think of as classical manly things. Warriors, hunters, athletes. Why aren't we talking about squats and deadlifts? I mean, if we're really going to talk about what's a manly form of training, what's wrong with squats and deadlifts, why aren't we talking about that? Why are we talking about big barbell movements? Stuff that helps people play football better. Stuff that helps people do MMA better. Really, these awkward tricep extensions. In fact, the other day, of course, I think it got taken down, didn't it? Super Training had Mike come in there and incline bench 405. I'm going to go out on a limb and say a beastly ass, ridiculous 405 incline bench. Again, I'll give credit where credit is due. That's ridiculous. 405 incline. It's ridiculous. So no one's going to say Mike's not a strong presser. That's more manly than any goofy ass tricep extension you could do. Furthermore, when we talk about actual workload done, actual stimulating a muscle, recruiting muscle fibers, he's having a guy do a weird movement that's going to try to isolate the lateral and medial head more. Instead of where the long head's the hardest head to hit, I don't know why you're going through all this trouble to do an awkward exercise to work the heads that get hit on your incline bench really well, instead of saying, okay, what about that other head? Why don't we work that one? I'm sorry, but a 405 incline bench is going to work your tricep a hell of a lot more than any dumbbell exercise could ever do. It's going to work it more than any dumbbell exercise could ever do. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the fact that Mike is standing here able to do reps, do a double 405 on an incline, Mike, that's why you got big triceps, okay? That is what built your triceps. This other stuff is nonsense fluff that probably hasn't contributed a ½ inch to your total tricep size. Not even that. I bet you 1/8 of an inch of your triceps has come from all this fluff you're doing. Stuff like those insanely heavy incline benches is probably what's built 95% of the size on your tricep. That's what's built your triceps. Some basic physiology and some in terms of just mechanical tension and workload, no, that's what built your triceps. That's where you're getting the size. So we've got all that going on, but then we come back to this other point, and he's like, well, you got to do these awkward exercises that make you hurt. No, man. Not everybody can afford your duck eggs. Now, we know duck eggs is really code for growth hormone. Okay, that's really code, because exactly the price point he's got on those duck eggs, combined with what they describe they do, the longevity they give, that's kind of why people use growth. That's why they use it. Mike, yeah, you've been on growth for a couple decades, okay? Not everybody has your genetics for recovery, and not everybody can afford that many duck eggs, okay? Couple decades of using growth is why you are not getting tendonitis as a result of what you're doing. For everyone else, for people who can't afford these substances, who have to rely on their body's normal regenerative ability, the silly crap that you are having people do is going to cause inflammation, potentially tendonitis, and calcification. Calcification, buildup of calcium deposits on their tendons and their triceps. That's what's going to happen from doing this silly, painful crap. All right, inflammation. Inflammation, that's what's going to happen that isn't going to heal, that's going to accumulate. It's going to accumulate. All trying to do silly, awkward stuff and trying to hit all these muscles from 6 or 7 different angles. Seriously. None of that matters. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, the triceps, because of the nature of the tricep, because it does have a couple of vastly different functions, yeah, you probably do need a couple of different exercises to develop the tricep maximally. You don't for the bicep. Triceps you probably do, and you know what, that's reasonable. But pressing, all of your pressing will handle one of those basic functions. If anything, someone wants to come in and isolate their triceps, they need to be doing exercises that recruit the long head more, because maybe it doesn't get hit as much on a flat bench or a weighted dip or an incline bench or any of that. And incidentally, most tricep exercises that work the long head do what? They cause less inflammation of those tendons around the elbows. The silly crap he's having people do, it hurts. It hurts because you're causing inflammation and damage to the connective tissue. Now people say, well, how does he get around it then? Well, why do you think I mentioned growth? You guys seen the studies on it? You seen the studies on the collagen synthesis and connective tissue with this stuff? That's the reason people gain muscle on it. It doesn't do anything to your muscles. Nothing. But it thickens and repairs and speeds up recovery of connective tissue at an astronomical rate. Stronger, thicker connective tissue lets you build muscle in the long term easier. All right, that's where the benefit lies to this stuff. It's the recovery and thickening of the connective tissue. That's why Mike is able to do exercises like this for decades and not have problems and still come in and incline bench 405, because he is dramatically enhanced his connective tissue, what he's been doing. And it's a viable method. It works. But let's not pretend it's the people who don't do painful exercises that cause inflammation in connective tissue aren't manly. All right? Getting strong and powerful and being injury-free, now that's a good idea. I recommend that. I recommend people strength train. I'm big on that, but I'm also big on recovery. Again, this is an example of someone like Mike. These guys who are genetically blessed, very genetically gifted, and also chemically enhanced, are giving advice to everyone else and telling them that if they don't do this, that they're not manly, or they're weak, or they're not putting forward effort, or they're lazy. When the reality is they don't have the genetics and the drug stack to get away with this. All right? Normal people don't. And this is another example of someone giving terrible advice. Not only giving terrible advice, but putting people down specifically who can't do this. They don't want to put these substances into their body, or they can't afford to put these substances into their body, who aren't as genetically gifted, but then all of a sudden they're lazy or they're not a real man because they don't do silly crap that's going to harm them and reduce their ability to train in the long term. Total bullshit. This is why people need to understand you don't listen to the genetically elite when it comes to training. You don't do it. It's probably not a good idea. And once large amounts of expensive substances come into the mix, combined with people who have elite genetics for whatever an endeavor is, you might want to factor in that their advice probably not going to work for you. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.